Every morning, I get out of bed, head downstairs, make myself some coffee and enjoy my breakfast. Then, I head back upstairs, brush my teeth, and take a shower. Your typical morning routine. However, if you were living in Walkerton at the start of May 2000, your morning routine may have sent you to the hospital. My name is Sean Bautista, and I'm a participant in the Leadathon event. My group and I were tasked with researching and creating innovative solutions to address the Canadian engineering grand challenges. We had been tasked with Goal 6, access to safe water in all communities. Furthermore, I had previously researched the Walkerton outbreak case study as part of my ENG 1101 course assignment. I will be pitching a select number of solutions that my group and I had created. I will provide context for each one. Imagine carrying out your typical morning routine before dropping off your kids at school and going to work. Or perhaps you and your family stayed a few days in town for a vacation to visit the museum or to try the local dishes. Suddenly, your child starts to feel ill and develops a high fever. You think nothing of it. Perhaps they've caught food poisoning or a seasonal flu. It'll go away in no time. Days pass and your child's condition worsens. You go to the local hospital and find that they're struggling to adapt to the sudden increase in patients. News spread that the children and elderly in this town have developed a similar condition, and for weeks no one knew what had caused this outbreak. Eventually, it was found out that the water operators for the town's water supply had failed to comply with the water safety regulations, and their negligence had led to the outbreak. As well, they deliberately gave false information regarding the town's water quality to avoid responsibility. Their incompetence and failure to provide accurate information had resulted in 2,000 cases, with 6 deaths and many with long-term side effects. What if the town you're living in right now or visit sometime in the future were to have its water contaminated because of water operator negligence? Not only that, consider that Canada's aging water pipes can potentially contaminate the water without you knowing, along with the lack of transparency into the quality of your water and the fact that 5,000 new chemicals are released into the residential sector annually. Alongside the issue of potential water contamination, Canada still experiences water shortages. That may be surprising to most of us living in the country, but this has been a long-time issue for the prairies and the territories. Due to their geography, climate, and global warming, the prairies struggle to receive enough fresh water to support their agricultural industry. According to a study conducted in 2006, the prairies have experienced an increase in temperature by 1 to 4 degrees Celsius in the last 80 to 118 years, and a 14 to 24% decrease in precipitation compared to the first recorded data. The agricultural communities in the prairies cannot sustain themselves without effective transportation of fresh water across Canada. In the north, there's a scarcity of available clean fresh water to drink, especially for the indigenous communities. Many indigenous communities experience pervasive boil water advisories, which indicates the terrible state of the water systems in those communities. Many have resorted to purchasing bottled water to wash their dishes, their clothes, and of course for drinking. There's no reason why anyone in Canada should have trouble getting access to clean drinking water, considering that we have 20% of the world's total fresh water supply. If we want to prevent cases like the Walkerton outbreak from happening in the future, we must implement a system that enforces the collection of accurate data by introducing harsher penalties such as fines to water operators for not abiding by the water safety regulations, along with a higher threshold is required to pass the water safety exams which occurs annually to maintain water safety knowledge, and establishing a task force which periodically conducts water tests in most vulnerable locations. For ourselves and our families, we can prevent any more grief and tragedy from occurring like this in the future by implementing this solution. To reduce the number of contaminants present in the water, an overhaul of the water system in vulnerable communities must be enacted, along with replacing pipes that are in poor and very poor conditions with safe and resilient water infrastructure. Many indigenous communities have households that aren't connected to the water system, such as in the Six Nations Reserve. Despite this, the government has provided enough funds to create a water treatment facility for those communities, but not enough to operate the facility. Effectively, they're spending money to operate a facility most houses can't use. Therefore, houses in indigenous communities should be connected to a water system to provide each household with running water, and a water treatment facility should then be built, with the government providing enough money to support its operating costs to further reduce contaminants. The maintenance of the pipes in those communities is then taught to the local engineers so that problems that arise can be resolved quickly and effectively. We can make fresh water more accessible to the agricultural communities by creating a more efficient water system that can sustainably pump more water. This can be achieved by pumping renewable fresh water and non-renewable water, such as groundwater, which can only be pumped from occasionally. Reducing our own use of water can also lessen the water demand. This can be achieved by educating the public to use less water, and we can further reduce the water demand by creating and promoting a GMO crop variant that is very resistant to droughts. By implementing the solution above, we can provide these communities with safe drinking water, which should be a basic right for anyone living in a prosperous country like Canada. As well, farmers and families in the western prairie provinces have to be protected from these droughts. 20% of their farmland can be rendered useless if not enough water is supplied. Consequently, many jobs can be lost. Thank you for listening.